Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Mess. So, today we're going to continuing the series on the MiSTer FPGA project, more specifically in this instance, Heber's Multisystem 2, and a new JAMMA variant that they are previewing on the Retro Collective channel right now. And honestly, MiSTer FPGA has been an incredible product the entire time we've been talking about it, and in my initial review of the Multisystem 2, I said it did an incredible job, absolutely streamlining the MiSTer experience and being a great console. And it is still in active rotation. It's on my PVM right behind me as I do this voiceover, as one of the primary MiSTers I use in my entire setup and gameplay. But honestly, getting more JAMMA options is going to be amazing because there's so many incredible FPGA cores for the arcade side of things, and people do want to put a MiSTer FPGA in their arcade cabinet. So we're going to be going over everything Heber's doing today, the overall design, when you might be able to play this one. Before we get too far involved though, do me a huge favor, go down below, hit like and subscribe and ring that notification bell, definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, I got a Patreon link down below as well. But on the Retro Collective channel, Heber went over some of the new features of this board, and just be aware it is not available for order yet. They're saying maybe a couple months until you can actually grab this thing. And as soon as there is hardware that I can review and test on the channel, you know I'll absolutely do it. Because if you know one thing about video game esoteric, if you watch consistently, I have an absolutely massive arcade collection, both in Supergun format and other formats as well. I absolutely love talking about arcade stuff, and even though I'll never stop collecting arcade boards, honestly, in my opinion, FPGA is going to keep the future alive as far as the hobby is concerned, because these boards are not getting any more common, they're definitely not getting any more reliable, because if you collect arcade stuff, you absolutely have to learn how to repair it yourself. So something like the Multisystem 2 being based on a MiSTer FPGA was an incredible product. I did a review about 6 months ago, and if you need to see that, I will leave a link in the description below. And honestly, Heber absolutely nailed the assignment when it came to developing their own custom PCB with that Cyclone 5 chip in the middle. Now obviously this is still the MiSTer FPGA ecosystem. It is using the same software and it's using the same cores, so you expect the exact same performance out of it that you would any other MiSTer FPGA build, and that's exactly what the Multisystem 2 delivered. And honestly, in my entire use of it in the last 6 months or so, there's been absolutely no issues whatsoever. I just turn it on, I play it like any other MiSTer FPGA. It has been absolutely reliable, and that is a big thing. Because it's not just me playing these video games, it's also me using this hardware to capture for the channel, and even though I have a metric crap ton of MiSTers here to be able to use for capture in a production setup, I need ultimate reliability. I need to turn something on and expect it to work every single time I use it, and the Multisystem 2 has definitely delivered that for me, and that's something I can stand behind. So getting a JAMMA variant will be an amazing opportunity, because you can just slot this thing right into an arcade cabinet and start playing. And it's not just that JAMMA Edge, there's a lot of other features on the board, including some that means you could use this as a kind of consoleized version as well, which I really like because it's going to be able to pull double duty. Now, if you're not familiar with JAMMA, this might not be a product for you, and if you are familiar with it, you're going to know exactly how it works, but it's basically all the signals from the video to the power to the controls that you can play basically any JAMMA arcade game on. So this board would slot right into a JAMMA cabinet, and you can load up whatever core you would want to play, and you can just basically interact with the MiSTer FPGA and the Multisystem 2 via that actual JAMMA Edge. Now you will see it also has an audio amp on board, and I think that's a very intelligent thing, because some cabinets will have audio amplifiers built in, others will not, just depends on what your setup is. And you could even build your own cabinet at home. You could get something that's kind of beat up and restore it. You could put it in a candy cabinet. Kind of the sky is the limit on this. You'll also see it has trackball and optical inputs as well, so you're going to be able to do analog games really easy, and that is going to be a huge benefit to some of you out there. Now, as far as MiSTer FPGA and JAMMA is concerned, this is not a new idea. MiSTer Add-ons MiSTer Cade version 2, which I did a review of last year, also an outstanding product, but that is basically a carrier board with all of the signals for JAMMA for all of the different video inputs, but you do put an original Thoracic DE10 Nano or one of the MiSTer Pi boards on top. But this is something that we've been doing for a while now in the MiSTer FPGA ecosystem, but it's one of those things people have been asking for a more streamlined experience when it comes to just kind of plugging and playing something in their arcade cabinets, because I do believe that people are actually using these things more in arcade cabinets these days. But you will see you also have video outputs on the back end, so you don't need to use the RGB off the JAMMA Edge if you don't want. So if you have something like a tri-sync monitor with a 31 kHz input, you can use line doubling on MiSTer FPGA and use that VGA port out the back. At least I am presuming, because of course I'm not testing this in front of me, but that is how it should work, and you'll be able to use those inputs as well. So I really appreciate, at least in the design phase, that this thing has basically every input you could possibly want on it, as far as video, as far as audio, and as far as control is concerned. Heber has done a great job of thinking what would arcade collectors and arcade users want to have on something like this board. And if you aren't familiar, JAMMA is basically a standard. Before that, basically every single arcade PCB would have a different edge connector, and putting them from one cabinet to the other would be a metric pain in the ass. JAMMA standardized everything, and then from there the industry went to JVS, or JAMMA Video System. But JAMMA is a very easy thing to deal with if you understand what you're doing. And even though you probably wouldn't want to use a super gun to play something like Heber's new JAMMA Multisystem, you absolutely could do that. And when and if I test it on the channel, that is how I will show it to you, just so you can see all of the physical connections going on. But leave me a comment down below and you tell me, are you an arcade collector? Do you have any JAMMA PCBs? And is it something you're looking to get into? Because trust me, if you just want to play a lot of incredible arcade cores in an arcade cabinet, plugging in something like a Multisystem 2 or a MiSTer FPGA is going to be a hell of a lot easier than going out and getting all the games for all the cores that exist that you'd want. You're probably talking about $25,000–$30,000 minimum to get just the best games out there. And if you get into Neo Geo MVS, you're probably talking more about a six-figure collection, because trust me, some of these arcade boards and some of these games absolutely still hold their value. They're going to be 4-digit games all day long and twice on Sundays. But I love collecting arcade stuff. I've got a metric ton of boards, but even I love the idea of being able to play those FPGA cores in an arcade cabinet. I just think it makes sense for a ton of people. Now taking a look here, you're going to see that they have done a great job of engineering all different control schemes here, including that trackball input. And in the video from the Retro Collective, Richard from Heber even says that they've gone into the cores to try to tweak some of the analog values in and of themselves. Something like the Road Blaster core here, if you do try to play that with an analog controller, apparently some of the analog values can be a little bit twitchy in and out. But you'll see here that it also comes with USB-C power, so you could completely bypass the JAMMA Edge for power, and because you can power it in there, you could even technically build a harness for a controller and go ahead and use this thing without an arcade cabinet whatsoever. Now, I don't expect anybody to do that. It would be a very interesting custom wiring harness job, but it does mean that this one board could kind of pull double duty. I think that's something we would like to see in the MiSTer FPGA ecosystem, one board that can basically be used in many different ways. But if you're not an arcade collector, if you're not into JAMMA, it's one of those things. This might not be as exciting to you as it is to me. But the Multisystem 2 has absolutely been a great product in all of my testing, and it is one that I recommend to a ton of people, especially if they're in the UK and want to avoid any of the tariffs or other import fees that might be associated with getting a MiSTer FPGA from a different part of the world. But when I talk about products on the channel and I review things, the number one thing I care about, again, is if I tell you you should buy it, you're getting a good experience, you're getting good customer service, and you're getting a product that will work basically like you bought a console from a major manufacturer, Sony, Nintendo, or somebody like Microsoft. And that's exactly what the Multisystem 2 has proven for me. And I will say that the few people that have contacted Heber and told me about their experiences have all said they've been met with a really gracious response and help basically exactly when they needed it. And that is something that is hugely important, because again, you just have to have the support there. And the nice thing is, if you do want to put this thing into a JAMMA cabinet, it is going to support NFC cards, including Zapparoo. I apologize, when I did the Multisystem 2, the company was still called Tap2, so that is the actual card name you saw there. But imagine doing this, having your friends come over, giving them a bunch of different Zapparoo cards, and being able to tap the cabinet for a connected NFC reader just to load up whatever game you want. It is really nice, so you don't have to go into the menu and try to figure out exactly the list of things you're looking for. And I know a lot of people get into those Zapparoo cards, and I've been having some fun with them as well. When friends come over, I just show them some of the cards, they tap it, and honestly it feels a little bit like magic. But Heber has been doing absolutely amazing work trying to make the MiSTer FPGA ecosystem more open and more fun for everyone. And again, it's not like you'd have to actually go into the core and start tweaking the values of something like Road Blaster. They could make a JAMMA board, they could give you those optical trackball connectors and just say the core is what it is and you get the experience you get out of it. But the fact that they're actually going into the cores in and of themselves and tweaking those values really shows that Heber wants you to have an incredible experience, and it really shows that these are arcade purists at heart, and they really want to have that same experience they would have on a JAMMA board. So as far as Heber is concerned, this Multisystem 2 with the JAMMA Edge, absolutely something that I think a lot of people out there are going to gravitate towards if they need it. And as soon as there is something that I can get in front of my camera, review, and talk about the functionality, you know I will. But leave me a comment down below and you tell me, JAMMA arcade user or not, I would be curious, and if not, are you looking to get into it in 2026? Because trust me, if you are, grab a cabinet now, they're not getting any cheaper. But we're done. If you have any questions, leave them down below and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.